Hari Om. Om Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. My humble prostrations at the holy feet of the entire Guru Parampara, who have spared no means in bringing to us the profound messages of the Upanishads, the highest knowledge in such simple ways, as simple as stories. But of course, stories, not just stories, stories with a symbolic message interwoven through the story itself. You don't have to wait for the end of the story to get to know what they're talking about in terms of symbolism. But if we have even a slightest inkling as to the way the Upanishads speak, even that much is sufficient in order to unearth the beautiful symbolism hidden in and through the stories of our great epics. And the epic that is chosen for today's episode is Srimad Ramayanam. Yes, Adikavi Sri Valmiki was the one who initially gave us this Srimad Ramayanam, but after that we have Tulsidas ji's Ramcharitmanas, we have Kamba Ramayanam, we have Adhyatma Ramayanam, so many. The whole story is so beautiful that everyone feels like retelling the story, and when it's retold, it is told with a different flavor, each to his own flavor, isn't it? So that is the beauty of our text, of our rishis, of the Mahatmas who added their own beautiful flavor to whatever they were giving us, and in that process they never tampered with the original. That is the greatness of this Guru Parampara, because there was not even an iota of selfishness in the whole process. Their only point was that this has to be preserved over generations. It has to be made available because they benefited, and they feel that compassion, and they feel that urge to make sure that it is alive and available to all generations to come. And the Ramayanam is such a beautiful story from starting till the end. Every episode in the Ramayana lends itself beautifully to symbolism, and Adikavi Sri Valmiki ji has really it's a beautiful flow. It's the path of Ramayana, Rama, right, which is Ramayana. The path of Rama is Ramayana. Now, in the path that Sri Rama walked, it is every step in this path is full of meaning, is full of suggestions for us, is full of both levels of meaning, one for our transactional level and one for the highest level. So this is an amazing epic to pick, read, enjoy the bhakti rasa, the jnana rasa in it, enjoy the depths of Ramayanam. The episode for today's story is the episode where it was time for Bhagwan to go across the ocean and bring back Mother Sita in all her glory. It was long enough that he had waited for his beloved. It was long enough that Mother Sita had repented for whatever little desire that she entertained. It was time for that Ravana to return Mother Sita to whom she belonged gloriously. It was time to cross the ocean. And when it was time to cross the ocean, what is it that we would all think? Oh yeah, construct a bridge, find a ship, so many means. But no, our hero of the Ramayanam, Bhagwan Sri Rama, sat there on the shores of that ocean and prayed to Samudra Devata. It is said that he fasted for 3 days. He fasted and invoked Samudra Devata. He waited patiently. But even after 3 days, when for whatever reason Samudra Devata did not come up to and address Bhagwan, Bhagwan also got angry. He said, "Where is Samudra Devata? I have been invoking him with so much patience, and he still hasn't come. I think it is time to bring him out. And he asked Lakshmana for an arrow, and he released the arrow, and oh my God, the ocean started to dry up, the creatures of the ocean started to perish as it were, and then came out the trembling Samudra Devata. Now if you look at this, couldn't Bhagwan Sri Rama have built this bridge by himself? In just a sankalpa in his mind was sufficient, isn't it? The entire creation, it is said that Bhagwan hardly put any effort. He just thought, and this creation was up and about. Couldn't Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra ji also have just done this? Couldn't he have thought of the bridge and the bridge came up? Of course he could have. And did he even need a bridge? Could he not just teleport the entire Vanara Sena? That's all he had with him to face Ravana. But that Vanara Sena, could he not just teleport them across to Lanka? Of course he could have. Was there any, anything that was not possible for the Lord? Of course anything is possible for the Lord. Yet, in the Ramayana, we see this at every step of the Ramayana, how Bhagwan Sri Ramachandra ji maintains the Maryada of the creation, wherever it may be, whether it was his father or Mother Kaikeyi or Bharata or Lakshmana or Sita, or handling the Vanaras, Hanumanji, or Vibhishana, or finally Ravana and the whole citizens of Ayodhya. Check in any part of Ramayana and we will find that Bhagwan maintains this Maryada. He respects the Maryada of the creation. And it was so here too. Samudra Devata, he is the Devata of the ocean, and they need to cross the ocean, they need to build a bridge across the ocean. And the rightful thing to do is ask permission of the ocean. To ask permission of the ocean, we have to invoke the Samudra Devata. And that is what Bhagwan Sri Rama shows us through this episode. Of course, he could have just crossed the ocean, and yet, he sat there as though he was one step lower, as though he was asking for help, as though he needed to be in the receiving position. But he has no ego issues. He needs to cross the ocean. The Samudra is there. It's only respectful that he asks permission of the Samudra Devata. But whatever went on in Samudra Devata's mind, that he did not come up to pay his respects to Bhagwan. There could have been so many things going on in the mind of Samudra Devata. What is Bhagwan asking me to do? He must have been in his own dilemma, don't you think? He is the Samudra Devata, and the Samudra is not a simple thing. The Samudra is a vast expanse of water. The Samudra is home to so many creatures of the ocean. And as the Devata of the Samudra, even Samudra Devata has his responsibilities, is it not? So there must have been some dilemma that was in his mind. But anyway, when the creatures of the ocean started trembling, started perishing, then Samudra Devata himself started trembling too. And that's when he appeared with his hands folded, begging forgiveness of Sri Ramachandra ji. He begged Bhagwan and said, "O Lord, forgive me, for I was completely confused. How can I go against my dharma of being expansive? Expansive waters is my nature, it is my dharma. How can I cleave in the middle and make a path? That would be going against the Samudra Dharma. And how could I let all the creatures here be destroyed? Am I not responsible, Bhagwan, as their king? Forgive me, my Lord, if I was wrong in my thinking." This was probably what went on in Samudra Devata's mind as he begged the Lord for forgiveness. Now the Samudra Devata was forgetting who he was standing in front of. He was standing in front of the omniscient, omnipotent, all-compassionate one. Was there a doubt that he would take care of those creatures? Was there a doubt that if he was asking Samudra Devata for something, it would not be against the dharma of the Samudra? Doesn't Bhagwan know that much? Does he not understand what the dharma of the samudra is? Does Bhagwan not understand the preciousness of the lives of those creatures in the ocean? Of course he does. But the Samudra Devata was so blinded by his own duty that he forgot the glory of Bhagwan. He forgot the omniscience and the omnipotence of Bhagwan. And it was that fear that finally had to bring him out, rather than respect for Bhagwan. Anyway, nevertheless, Bhagwan always understands. He's always compassionate. He knows that all the jivas have their own dilemmas, devatas included. Now, as Samudra Devata stood with folded hands before Bhagwan, the very darshan of Bhagwan revealed that part of his memory where he knew that there was a way out for the Vanara Sena to build a bridge and go across to Lanka. Now, he remembered that there is a team member called Nala in the Vanara Sena. And who is Nala? Nala and Neela both. They are the sons of Vishwakarma, the divine engineer, the divine architect. And Nala had the skills of an engineer. Today's world, you would probably call him a civil engineer, who had the skills to build the bridge across this ocean. And Samudra Devata promised to support the bridge, to support those rocks and stones and branches and twigs that would be used to construct the bridge. He would protect it. And Bhagwan Sri Rama was happy and satisfied. He did not show even this bit of an anger once Samudra Devata was up in front of him. The purpose of the anger was done. Gurudev would often say, use your anger like a tool because you need it for worldly transactions. Use it, but remember to put it back in your pocket. So that's what Bhagwan Sri Ramachandraji demonstrated, is it not, through this episode? Well, alright, so we know what happened after that, isn't it? We know that the bridge was built. We know that there were so many people who helped make this bridge, including the tiny squirrel, who got such a beautiful caress from Bhagwan. Well, the bridge was built, the Vanara Sena went across, Bhagwan marched along with them, and they defeated the Ravana and the rest of the Rakshasa Sena, and Mother Sita was found and she was restored to her glory, and we know that they all went back to Ayodhya and Bhagwan Sri Ramachandraji was crowned king. Well, this was the episode in the Ramayana. Now, what's in this for us? What was that hidden message that was woven through the story? Part of it we saw as we saw the story, is it not? We saw how the dilemma of that Samudra Devata was really not warranted because it was Bhagwan calling for help. And when Bhagwan calls for help, it's not because he needs help. Samudra Devata just failed to see that there was something for him in it, not for Sri Ramachandraji. No. Bhagwan's plans are full of opportunities for us to showcase our talents, to contribute without a selfish motive, to practice what we call selflessness, to practice what in technical terms is called karma yoga. And many times, we have some talents, some speciality maybe in us, maybe a simple thing, and still for Bhagwan, he sees it as a speciality because we are the correct fit in that situation. And so Bhagwan gives us that opportunity. When Sri Ramachandraji invoked Samudra Devata, it was clearly an opportunity for Samudra Devata, and Samudra Devata was, because he was so blinded by that whole idea of duty and what is going to happen to the ocean and its creatures, he failed to see that there was probably some way he would contribute in this process and be blessed actually. And when he stood in front of Bhagwan, of course, the contribution came out, did it not? Did he also not promise to serve by holding up the bridge, by supporting the bridge? Similarly, in our lives, there will be so many situations that would come up that would demand from us a little extra from what we think we can do, a little beyond our capacity. Get out of that comfort zone, says Bhagwan. Take that step forward because I know that you have it in you, says Bhagwan. Are we listening? Are we seeing those opportunities? Or have we closed our doors to those opportunities? Well, that's for us to see and take every opportunity that comes our way, because finally whatever happens, happens according to his plan. Everything is beautifully unfolding according to Bhagwan's plan. If in the process you and I get an opportunity to be part of that plan, we are indeed blessed. And if we see it with that bhavana, we are truly, truly blessed, doubly blessed. Now, if we see it from the aspect of duty, Samudra Devata, of course, he was right in his thinking as a king, as the supporting agent of this Samudra. Yes, he was responsible for upholding the dharma of the Samudra. He was responsible for the lives of the various creatures. But sometimes when it is Bhagwan calling, then there's a difference, isn't it? Bhagwan's plan is beyond dharma. Bhagwan's plan is beyond our duties. Because even in performing duties, even in performing that dharma aspect, as we evolve, we are given that opportunity to get rid of that tiny I that always gets stuck with every action of ours. Even when we do our duty, we say, I am doing my duty. Even when we are trying to uphold dharma, we are saying, I am upholding dharma. And Bhagwan can see that, and he knows that that's such an obstacle for this jiva. And in his compassion, in his love and affection for us, he gives that opportunity to drop that. Drop that I sense in your dharma. Drop that I sense in your duty. Do it for me. Do it for my sake. Take that step. Take that extra little effort. Be courageous. Come, I'm there. And just as standing in front of Bhagwan, didn't Samudra Devata get his memory about Nala? Similarly, you and I too, when we are pushed beyond our capacity, and when we stand face to face with Bhagwan in our mind, when we pray to him, when we helplessly stand and say, Bhagwan, you've given me this opportunity, but I'm not sure if I have it in me to do it. Bhagwan reveals certain hidden things and says, see, you can. And this is a way to do it. There's some inner voice, there is some inner calling, there's some idea that strikes us, and we think, oh, I got this idea in my mind. In my mind? Who gave me that idea? Until that moment, I did not have it. But the moment I sat in silence, even silence is fine for silence as Bhagwan. Or if I am a devotee, then I pray to my Ishta Devata, and he comes in the form of an idea. Or I pray to my Guru, and there's a flash in the mind. And we must trust that. And that is called intuition, going a step beyond my intellectual capacity. If we see another aspect here, didn't Samudra Devata respect Bhagwan? Did he not have respect? He is a Devata, meaning he is a sattvic character. And aren't all the Devatas Bhagwan's favorites? Don't they always run to him for help? Don't they always do everything for Bhagwan? Yes, Samudra Devata definitely had immense respect and devotion towards Bhagwan. But it was his sense of duty that came in the way of respecting Bhagwan's, request for that one step extra, and that calls for surrender. So all Samudra Devata had to do was come up and say, Bhagwan, this is my dilemma, but I surrender to you. If you ask me to do it, so be it, because you know better. That's all he had to do. Then Bhagwan would not have been angry with him at all. So whenever we are put into a situation that calls for that little more than our capacity, let us stand with folded hands and tell Bhagwan, Bhagwan, I personally don't think I am ready for this, but if you feel that I can do it and you have put me here, then I surrender completely to you. You take it over, Bhagwan. Make me do what you want me to do. And of course, why won't he? Bhagwan is the one that gives us strength to face any situation. We must never forget that, isn't it? And when we face the situation, what looked so tremendous looks so, oh, is that it? So, this is an episode with many messages, and another message very dear to Puja Gurudev's heart is the Yagna spirit, which he talks about a lot in the Bhagavad Gita. We see the Yagna spirit here too. Now, we saw already how Bhagwan was completely capable of doing all this by himself. He did not need the bridge. And did he need the Vanara Sena to build the bridge? No. But he knew that in this plan of building a bridge to go across the ocean to Lanka, it is in this plan that so many jivas who are waiting to serve the Lord, who love the Lord and want to be of some service to Him. Because not all Vanaras were probably capable of fighting that war, but they had other talents that could be used here. There was that little squirrel that was waiting. So, yes, this is Yagna spirit in its true sense. When Bhagwan has a plan and that plan unfolds, and if he chooses to put us into that plan as it's unfolding, it is our good fortune. Because we are all part of that huge Yagna, which is called this creation. And if you notice, in that march, as the bridge was being built and then it got ready and they had to march, Bhagwan marched along with them. Bhagwan walks along with us every moment. I'm sure you're all aware of footprints in the sand. Those moments when I feel helpless, those footprints are not mine, it's His. And anyway, Thy will be done, Lord, not mine, not mine. The Ramayana has lots of such episodes, beautiful episodes. We can become overwhelmed with bhavane, or we can reflect upon the episodes and their depths will be revealed. Gems from those depths will be revealed, and we can bask in that glory. We can make it our experience. We can make it part of us. That would be our direct learning from the epic. The Ramayana has lots to ponder upon. This one story gave us so much to reflect upon. Imagine the whole epic is such. The entire Ramayana is such. For those of us who love this epic, as we read through the Ramayana, whether it is during the Chaitra Navaratri or during the 9 days of Sharan Navaratri, whatever it may be, whenever it may be, or just on the day of Ramanavami, or just like that I picked up Srimad Ramayana to read, whatever it is, let me enjoy the bhavane. Let me also unearth these beautiful gems that are hidden in and through the Ramayana. Glory to Maryada Purushottam Sri Ramachandra Ji. Jai Sri Rama. Shuddha Brahma Paratpara Rama, Kalatmaka Parameshwara Rama, Sheshatalpa Sukha Nidrita Rama, Brahmadya Marav Prarthita Rama, Rama Rama Jaya Raja Rama, Rama Rama Jaya Sita Rama, Rama Rama Jaya Raja Rama, Rama Rama Jaya Sita Rama, Rama Rama Jaya Sita Rama, Rama Rama Jaya Sita Rama. बोलिए सियावर रामचंद्र की जय. जानकी जीवन स्मरणम. जय जय राम राम. हरि ओम.